Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to the North Shore 9 podcast presented by FanDuel. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me today, we have Stephen Nesbitt from The Athletic. Stephen, welcome back.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
How you doing?
Well, I'm trying to live up to my billing as guest of the year in previous years, so I got a lot to live up to in 15 minutes. So
Yeah.
excited to hear questions and give whatever answers I can.
Well, when's the last time we had you on this year?
I don't know if it's happened this year, unless it was like January, because I was out on leave for quite a while.
I felt like we
Had a child thing.
I don't remember.
We
Yeah.
have.
I mean, we usually have you on when there's like some big things going on nationally. You're breaking some stuff, how cheap the Pirates are and whatnot. Or just, for random things like, Mitch Keller, like being the worst pitcher, then the best pitcher. But yeah, I don't think we had you on this year.
The most sought after pitcher and then the least traded pitcher.
Right. But yeah, so I'm glad to have you on. We have an AMA. So of course, all you guys ask your questions, have Stephen answer them. But the reason I want to bring you on and talk to you right now, you come from, you were on the Pittsburgh beat for some time. You're now more in a national spotlight. So of course you have some ties, understanding the way the Pirates work, but of course now like that lens of seeing them on a national level and such. And of course, like I think you and Ken having some news on the Schwarber stuff, contracts and whatnot. So I just kind of want to get your perspective on the Pirates because they're the talk of the winter meetings. I feel like everyone's talking like, are they going to spend what's going on? They're in on every hitting free agent, every trade target, it seems like. But a lot of fans are very skeptic. So what do you think about their offseason plan so far?
I think the skepticism is warranted. I've been to a lot of winter meetings now, and the first handful were with the Pirates as my primary and really only focus. My first winter meetings, they re-signed Francisco Liriano. The next one, or maybe two later, they trade Neil Walker for John Neese. Like I was
10 years ago yesterday.
Yeah,
I think
I was used to coming here to the winter meetings only focused on what they were doing and not doing it. Often you walk away just disappointed by the lack of action. And so it's helpful for me from a wider baseball lens now to, if there's nothing on the Pittsburgh front, that's fine because I'm focused on, where Schwarber did sign or where Alonso went. But the Pirates are in a spot that we're not used to seeing them, which is like relevant on some pretty big names, like not necessarily the biggest names beyond Schwarber, but names that you've heard of and names that were in the playoffs and like real acquisitions that are going to cost something, whether that's prospect capital or just dollars and cents in free agency. And so it's kind of exciting to get new players in that field. And we'll see where exactly they take it.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's get to your questions. So producer Jim, put that beautiful one up there. So Jay Greasy, you've been quite active today. Are the Pirates still the team you have the most connections with, or has it evolved?
Interesting. Yeah, I still have the most, I think, depth of knowledge about the organization, knowing people who have been around in the front office or just like team employees that I've known for forever, the media communication staff. So yes, but from a player perspective, no, because all the guys that I covered have spread across the league. So less familiarity personally with the current roster, but I definitely keep a close eye on them. I mean, they've been a compelling team in recent years, even if it's not been for the right reasons. And then my deepest knowledge is of the Tigers. I grew up in Michigan and grew up a Tigers fan, and my whole family still follows them and roots for them hard. So I know a lot more about like the history of Detroit rather than Pittsburgh.
Sure. Understand. All right. Next question we have from Ben. So with Alonso signing, which underwhelming Oriole is wearing black and gold come January 1st?
Why underwhelming? There's some good talent there. I've been really impressed with what the Orioles did. They're a team that had really got derailed last year by so many injuries. There's some crazy stats about like I think no player had like more than 130 games played or something like just all their good players were out for a month or two. Adley wasn't particularly good. So they're I was looking up today, their highest home run total this year was 17, a couple guys at 17, and now they add Alonso who had 38, they add Taylor Ward who had 36. Like that's big.
Sure.
Big power, and the Pirates would love to add that sort of caliber of power. I think it's probably going to come from the left-hand side. And so I think we could certainly see like a Colton Cowser on the move. They have a number of options. I think a Cowser would be a great add. This is a guy who can hit for power, hit for average, play a couple positions defensively. I think the Pirates are still going to probably be targeting guys who can be a little bit versatile defensively.
Mhm.
And like you look at the names they've been connected to, could be a third base, could be a first base, could be a corner outfielder, first base, plenty of DH options. So I do think those like a Hauser would fit what they're looking at.
Okay. Interesting. So let's get our next question up here. This is from John. So I noticed Rangers GM said Cody Bradford, internal brace, would be ready for spring training. Jared Jones had the same procedures done a month earlier. Likelihood he's able to pitch in spring.
I really don't know. We're talking to Ben Charrington and Don Kelly this week, and it seems that everything has gone well there. But I think they're just at this stage, teams are always, well, except in this case for the Rangers, they're almost always very cautious to give any positive updates, because any sort of setback, even if it's extremely minor, is glaring.
Right.
And so it sounds like everything's going right with Jared Jones. I don't anticipate this is something where he can only come back in September or something. It sounds like he's going to get a good chunk of the season, so long as everything goes right. But I don't think the Pirates need him for spring training. Like, I think this is an okay thing to ramp up slowly, particularly if they don't trade any more pitching. If they do, I guess there's more urgency. But this is a team that has starting pitching depth. There is not. I don't think there's a reason to rush him back. I don't think whether they make the playoffs is a difference with whether he's up April 15th or June 1st. I think this is a guy you need to take the time, make sure he's fully right, because that's a special arm that we saw that was not really right at points when we last saw him. And if they get him, Paul Skeens, Bubba Chandler, Mitch Keller going at once, like it's a force in that starting rotation.
Good stuff. All right, next question up. There's a bit of delay on my end here, so there it is. So Logan says, any interest in either Murakami or Okamoto?
I haven't heard a lot of them, but they do make sense. So it's I think a question of how long the Pirates are willing to go on some of these deals. Like I think the Murakami projection from the Athletic was something like 8 for 180 or something. So like that's a big number. But if you're talking about being willing to go to a Schwarber level,
right,
5 and 1, whatever they, somewhere in the range of like 120 to 150, then why if you believe in the guy, why not consider that? So the key point that Ben Charrington pointed to a lot this week was that they have the flexibility to pursue a lot of different options. And when a guy like Schwarber goes off the board, it can feel from a fan perspective like, ooh, that was your big shot. Be relevant, right? To have a lineup that has impact hitters in it, but it really isn't the only option. There are a ton of them, but it might be having to take on a little bit more of a risky profile to see how well this guy does stateside, right? They did it years ago with Jung Ho Kang. There was a guy who they took a flyer on, and it was kind of a surprise at the time that they were the ones who got him.
Right.
Turned out to be a fabulous hitter. It had other issues that kind of derailed it, but for the sort of the bang for the buck was there. And the Pirates have not gotten involved in the Japanese market so much. And there's clearly a ton of talent coming from there. And so I haven't heard them specifically linked to these two guys, but I don't think they should be considered out on them. If we're looking at the market, it's like you have the stars and then you have the non-star tier that's still impactful. I put like a Jorge Polanco in that tier.
Sure.
Not a star, but like a good player.
Yeah. And
2
you need
war,
those.
Could be a 3-war guy.
Right.
And we don't really know where these guys quite are. And I would probably put them between those two tiers. But if you're willing to look at Schwarber, I would say be willing to look at a third baseman that could, stay there for a while and then move over to first base. That has sort of that questionable upside. And like Okamoto. So I haven't heard them specifically linked, but I would like to see them linked.
Yeah. Let me ask you real quick too, and just one answer or 2-word answer or something like that. But just real quick, do you have any preference over one or the other?
I mean, what I've seen, I'd rather have Murakami.
Okay.
I just think it's like prodigious power.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier today. Like this is a lineup that has a lot of swing and miss already. You don't want to add too much of it, but if it comes with that sort of power from the left-hand side, I'll take some more swing and miss.
Okay.
To see 30+ homers,
right?
Like potentially to 40.
All right. Next question we have here from Logan. Also, is there a chance the Pirates are the team rumored to have a deal for Yastrzemski?
Oh wow, we're really catching up. I haven't heard this. He's a decent fit. I mean, he played really well for Kansas City down the stretch. Good ball player. Yeah, not like the splash you're looking for in the lineup, but a guy who's going to contribute from the start. So I don't know. I haven't heard, to be honest.
Okay. Next question from Pierogies and at Have you noticed any fundamental changes within the org in the last couple of years? And what are they? Coaching, drafting, internal focus?
Interesting. I think there have been a lot of changes. I think the coaching has turned over pretty much entirely since I was covering the team and even around the team regularly, pre 2021, I guess. And so yeah, I think there's a lot more of an individualized approach to coaching. I think if you look back, not necessarily the Pirates, but there was an age in baseball where like the coaching staff really ruled a lot of the development cycle and what the way they wanted to play baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that has really changed. If you think back to when Ben Cherington and Derek Shelton came in, that was the conversation, was we're going to make this an individualized thing.
Right.
And they've tried to. They haven't had success in the position player side. So you can, I guess pick nits there. But there is a player-centered culture. I think they've had some real success on the pitching side, developing these guys. Like they're having the opposite problem they used to have of they could never put a rotation together, and now they can do that, and they can't develop hitting. So that's been a huge concern, a real problem, because as much as we talk about how starting pitching is the most expensive thing in the game, impact hitting is also really hard. I think there is a renewed focus internationally for them right now. We talked about the Pacific Rim over in Asia. They want to have more of an impact of a sort of presence over there. It can be hard to attract people to Pittsburgh when they don't really know where Pittsburgh is or what Pittsburgh is, right? If you're a Korean guy, you probably don't know what the city is about. And so I think it does sometimes take one guy to sort of change that narrative for the familiarity with the city and the franchise. And when you're looking at an offseason when you're like, oh, they got to, trying to get them to land like a Schwarber, and you're talking about the pitch they have to make to a guy like that, wouldn't it be wonderful to be in a situation where you didn't have to make a pitch, right? A guy would just like, oh yeah, you're the team with Paul Skeens, and you made the wild card, and you're reminded of, you have another 2015 wild card moment, and then people are like, oh, 2013 wild card, and people are like, oh yeah, I remember that. This is the Pirates. I saw Coleman Bridge, and you don't have to make the introduction. Right. It feels like today you do kind of have to make some of that. So the other point based on that question is like the international market in the Dominican, in the Caribbean, has been such a failure for them. The last impact hitter out of theirs, Starling Marte, right? Still,
basically,
am I
yeah.
wrong?
No.
So like that's an incredible failure from the amount of resources they put into the academy down there, into signing guys. Like that's one of the areas where a team that operates like this with a smaller payroll, they need to excel. They've had some much bigger wins lately in the draft because with Paul, obviously misses too, but like you have to nail the draft and you have to nail international, and they just haven't done international whatsoever, despite the draft wins that they've had in recent years.
All right. Good stuff. So Pit City What says, so Buck's waiting to pick up the scraps this offseason per usual?
No, I don't think so. I really don't. I think they understand. Well, okay, let's just think sort of selfishly. If you're in Ben Cherington's seat, if you're picking up the scraps, like you're probably fired, right? Like you have to make a compelling argument for why you are still here. And I think Bob Nutting believes at this point that they still need to commit to this approach that Ben has. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. Like, it's not a time to start over. If you want to go to get a GM right now to like execute the plan they already had in place, okay, you could do that. But it's clear they have not progressed as quickly as Bob expected. And they're clearly changing their stripes in some way. The messaging from the team, the willingness to be in on some of these bigger guys, like when we talk about their inability or unwillingness to give multi-year deals, it's not a joke. It's like, no, we have a long history. You have not signed a multi-year deal. The only guys you're bringing back on multi-year deals are re-signing people. Like it's like you've been sitting out this important part of the offseason for years and years.
Right.
And so there is an urgency. Like we're clearly seeing, and they're clearly saying it. Every time they talk, they're saying winning in 2026, right? When Cherington came in, they always said they were, build toward winning. Like the goal is to build their winning, but they're like, it's going to look different at different stages. They used to say that all the time. Go back to any like old transcript.
Sure.
It was always about winning, but it was so nebulous about like when, because they don't want to say we're going to dive into a rebuild for 5 years. But now it's like we're winning in 2026. It's clearly the focus. You can't pick up scraps at this stage and think that you're going to win enough to save everybody's jobs, win enough to, sort of excuse the lineup you have around this incredible rotation, the incredible potential in that rotation. So I think there are going to be significant moves. I think there are significant moves out there that you can make medium-sized moves and stack 4 of those and feel much better about where this team is come opening day.
Okay. Next question we have then for you is from Phoenix Wayne. There's Wayne. What is your best take on the Pirates catcher question?
So for years, I've been banging the drum. The Pirates were looking for their catcher of the future, and this is when they had Elias Diaz and Jacob Stallings, and when they traded Reese McGuire, I remember writing like, well, that's like, what's the Pirates' answer at catcher after Cervelli and Stewart? And it didn't seem like they had it. And Stallings was better than expected. Diaz had solid time, but they never committed to anyone long term. And so I remember writing soon after Cherington arrived. I wrote something about how like the Pirates again kind of whiffed on an opportunity. Oh, is it Marte trade? I thought they were going to go get a catcher in the Marte trade.
Okay,
they didn't. And I remember saying, like, Pirates
Varsho maybe
it may have been honestly missed on an opportunity to get the catcher of the future. And I heard from some people on the team that the new staff was just very confused. Like, what's this guy's deal with like the catcher of the future? And I was like, well, it just seemed like the very long lens that maybe they're not saying like you need to shore up this position. You've been relying upon like 1-year deals and then like sort of like okay prospects, but not guys you were going to like really commit to long term. And so I still see them kind of in that spot where you draft Henry Davis, and I think they're seeing real dividends with the way he's working with Skeens, but we have enough of a sample right now to be like not counting on him to be a real bat in the lineup. And Joey Bart is, I don't think he's a plus catcher. I don't think he's a plus hitter. He's fine right now. And I don't also think they're going to like really go out and spend to improve at that lineup or at that position. So you have options. You have a grab bag of options. I just don't necessarily think that those are options I believe in wholeheartedly.
Okay.
Do you disagree?
No. I mean, it's there's a lot of options like you mentioned.
Yeah.
It seems like it's been a lot of let's throw it at the wall and see what sticks approach.
Yeah.
But right. I mean,
and sometimes it sticks. Joey Bart was great for a stretch.
Yeah. Sometimes it does, but it's a pivotal year, so I could definitely understand the question.
Yeah.
So next one. Okay, so we're gonna combine this. This is from Todd. He says, with a word that the Astros will at least listen on Paredes, could the Pirates be involved? Not only is he a strong bat, but he solves the issues at third base, and we have the pitching they need. And Brian says, Astros' interest in Burrows, could the return be Isaac Paredes?
Sure. I mean, among the pitchers that they're going to send out, it feels like we're in declining likelihood of Mitch Keller getting traded. It's not no, but I think it would have to be something like really significant coming back. Ben keeps saying it would have to be like an immediate plug into the lineup.
Right.
Like a regular, everyday guy. And I think that's the right way to be thinking about it.
Sure.
Burrows feels like a guy who's more expendable if you're going to look at that bottom half of the rotation and projected rotation. Paredes is an interesting guy. Clearly a ton of power, a ton of pull power.
Right.
Pittsburgh is not the worst. It's a big left field, but also not the
that
least
lines.
Friendly. Yeah, it's gettable down there.
Right.
And for a guy who can play third base, I don't feel good about their third base situation today. I don't think moving forward with Triolo as the every option is a real like plus. I think it gives you a lot of the problem you had with Ke'Bryan Hayes, like probably a 600 something OPS. But Hayes, I'm very sorry about my alarm. Hayes had the platinum glove to make you feel better about the position. So I would love to see them address that position. And if they don't like some of the asking prices in free agency, because there are a number of options that could go there.
Yeah.
Then I don't hate Paredes as an option. I haven't specifically heard them linked to it, but this is the time where you start to hear more trade candidates like truly out there. Because teams, once the first couple free agents go and you see like the really impact guys, then they start to say, okay, let's test the market on this.
Sure.
This player that we're interested in moving. And Paredes has moved a lot in recent years, and the return hasn't been crazy. I don't think it takes a ton to get a guy like that. He has flaws, but he would make this lineup better, certainly.
Yeah. All right. Next question. All right. Last question, two-parter from producer Jim. So Pitt City, what once again? Can you tell Ben to get Brandon Lau? That's a good bat to add. And then part 2 is from Logan. What would the package look like in a trade for Lau? And question 3 from Derek. He says, would Brandon Lau be a good pickup if they traded for him?
Yeah, I'm heavily in the side of yes, it's a good pickup. I don't know exactly what a package would look like because it's a significant salary, especially for what the Pirates are dealing with.
Sure,
What,
but it's also
11
manageable.
Yeah, 11 million. It's
Mhm.
it's a type of offer I think they are now willing to give out in free agency that maybe a few years ago we'd like, would they really
Right.
go there? Once you give that money to Chapman, all this Chapman, you're like, okay, you probably are willing to do it. So that's not a huge number. It's not a long-term commitment. For them, I think it's a pretty low risk type move. I don't think it would cost a ton. I'm honestly not great at just throwing names out and like being accurate on this stuff. So I feel a little bit I'm unprepared to like put together a package for him, but I don't think it would take a lot. I don't think it would shock you that the caliber of prospect it would take. Now you're dealing with the Rays, and there's the famous Sam Miller tweet where you're basically saying like, I love the trade for the Rays, who they get and they give up. You just assume that they nailed the trade. And Lau is a guy that they have considered trading for quite some time and haven't done it. So like they're going to be waiting. They're going to like the deal for them when they do it. And so these are two front offices that I think have worked together enough that they can probably find common ground if they really want to. And this is a bat that has 30 homer potential, can play second base, can play left field, is a left-handed bat, can play first base. I do think it, like when that name comes up, when those rumors come out, you think they're like what Ben Cherington has said this week, his desire for more power, for more left-handed preferably. And that, I asked him, like, do you have a type you're looking for, like a trait you're trying to add to the lineup? And he was my favorite answer of the week, I think. He was like, it's like we could use it all. We could take anything. Like given where we're starting from, where the bar is right now, we could use contact, we use power. Like you could go anywhere here, and that's the type of ad that I'm like, oh yeah, I don't really have a lot of like questions about how that works. It just feels like a very natural fit. It's just whether you're willing to give up the prospect it'll take. And I think a combination of decent prospect going that way and 11 million covered by the Pirates, I think it's a very doable deal for them.
Okay.
And I think it'd be a real upgrade, obviously.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that's one thing that's like advantageous for them to some level is because like they just need anything. Like if you're a good hitter, you can be on our team. So that's being casted wide. It is, and essentially
the blessing of having like a lineup
really
that's
bad
among
team.
the worst is like,
right.
Would this be an upgrade? Yeah, it would. Okay,
right.
That would too. So you have to consider how you stack those moves. You can't add all high strikeout 30 guys,
right?
But a couple of them would fit on your lineup.
Yeah, but you don't need to be too picky to start.
Yeah, that's right. You do have to start somewhere. Like the move they made this week, adding Soto, I think good at. It's a leverage reliever. I'd like to see them get one more, but you'd love to start with the splash move, right? The big bat, and you like build around that. It just doesn't always work that way. If you're gonna get Schwarber, okay, that could have been it, but I have a hunch they could have, matched that offer, and he's not coming to Pittsburgh. Like, guys have a certain proclivity where they would like to end up, and it's their agent's job to sort of maximize the money, and you just don't know that going in. What would the Pirates have had to do to get a Schwarber, get an Alonso? And so now it's like, okay, that's off the table, but now we still have plenty of routes to go. And I think they're in a position where they're going to figure that out. I just don't know what piece is going to come first and second.
All right. Well, awesome. Well, good stuff. I think we're done with the questions then. So thanks once again. Hopefully we'll have you on here sooner for better news.
Yeah.
So some really good news you can pop off.
Force our hands. Yeah.
All right. Let's do it.
Thanks, guys.
Will it to existence. But no, where can everyone check you out, of course?
I'm on Twitter occasionally, Stephen J. Nesbitt, on Blue Sky occasionally as well, and on theathletic.com.
All right. Well, there you have it. For all you guys, we appreciate you. One more show tonight, and it's not live unless there's an emergency pod that needs to be broken. So we'll see you then. But until then, bye-bye.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in, whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube. If you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.